From The Australian, here's what's on the front. I'm Claire Harvey. It's Wednesday, February 12. Donald Trump says Anthony Albanese is a very fine man, and he's considering an exemption for Australia from his new 25% tariff on steel and aluminium. But the president's executive order accuses Australia of disregarding its promise to keep aluminium exports to a reasonable level. To unpack what that means and what happens now, check out all our reporting and analysis of this big story right now at theaustralian.com.au. Former ABC chair Ita Buttrose says she didn't want casual ABC presenter Antoinette Lattouf sacked, but she was concerned Lattouf was an activist who didn't live up to the ABC's responsibility to be impartial. On Tuesday, the 83-year-old doyenne of Australian media locked horns with a barrister for Lattouf in the federal court, where she's suing the ABC for unfair dismissal. Today, the best bits. Before we begin, a quick note. We've used voice actors throughout this episode to bring you the words spoken in court. Ita Buttrose is one of the grand old ladies of Australian media.
State your occupation for the court.
I'm a journalist.
Buttrose was the first female editor of an Australian newspaper at the Daily and Sunday Telegraphs. She was editor of Clio and the Australian Women's Weekly. Cold Chisel wrote a song about her regular TV ads for the stories she was working on. From 2019 to 2024, Buttrose was chair of the ABC, and that's why she's in court being cross-examined about the national broadcaster's scandal of the moment, the sacking of casual presenter Antoinette Lattouf. Buttrose was cross-examined by counsel for Lattouf, Philip Boncardo. Buttrose, who's just celebrated her 83rd birthday and was sitting in a wheelchair wearing a royal blue suit, was giving him nothing.
Leaving aside dramatic cases, in the ordinary case of things, you would expect if an employee of the ABC had been alleged to have breached a policy, that before they were taken off air, they were fired, they would get a right of hearing.
I don't understand the question.
Your expectation was, whilst you were chair, that if an employee of the ABC had been alleged to have breached a policy of the ABC before a disciplinary sanction was imposed on them, your view was that they would be afforded procedural fairness?
That's a hypothetical question and I can't answer it.
Want to take a stab at it?
No.
Buttrose said when Lattouf was on air, she received many emails.
I observed that the letter writers felt we were not being impartial, and I was concerned about what that would do for the ABC's reputation.
Did you infer that there was a campaign against Ms Lattouf?
No, I didn't. Compared to the complaints we got about our coverage of King Charles III's coronation, this was a very small matter.
Did you infer from them that the complainants wanted Ms Lattouf removed from air?
They wanted to know why she had a program because they didn't perceive her to be impartial. All I cared about was whether we were being impartial or whether we were not. We'd upset a lot of people.
Because you had engaged someone who was critical of the Israeli government.
Who was not impartial.
What was not impartial about the point of view she was presenting, Ms Buttrose?
I think in relation to the Israel-Gaza conflict, she was an activist.
That is, she was advocating for the rights of the Palestinian people. Is that your evidence?
Her view, one way or the other, was not my concern. My concern was that we were not being impartial.
Buttrose said Managing Director David Anderson had asked her to forward the complaints to ABC Chief Content Officer Chris Oliver-Taylor.
He wanted him to learn the folly of not checking the references of someone that we'd hired.
Boncardo wanted to know why Buttrose kept using the same word.
Has someone told you to continue telling the court your concern was impartiality?
No, I don't need to be told what I think. That's my own view.
You don't support the hiring of activists of any cause on the ABC, do you?
No, I don't.
Weren't you interested to find out whether Ms Lattouf was in fact a pro-Palestinian activist?
No.
Didn't concern you?
No.
You knew she was Lebanese though, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I didn't know what she was. People's colour doesn't really worry me at all.
Long before the ABC hired her for 5 days of casual work in December 2023, Antoinette Lattouf had been loud and clear about the Israel-Palestine issue on social media.
You can and should condemn both Hamas and Israel's government. Both are extremists. You can and should mourn civilian deaths.
These are posts on TikTok from October and November 2023, before her December shifts on ABC Sydney local radio.
It's not about all sides. You can and should know it's a war crime to cut off food, water and electricity to women, babies and the elderly. Number 2, pretend to be hearing impaired when all major human rights organisations speak. Allow me to demonstrate. Apartheid. A party for 5? That sounds like they're having fun in Gaza. Genocide. Tennis-side. Oh, that's a new sport, is it?
In November 2023, Lattouf explained on TikTok why she'd signed a petition calling on journalists to do better.
For me, as an independent and freelance journalist, nobody can fire me. And so I will certainly...
She said she was shocked that one media organisation had told journalists who'd signed the petition they couldn't report on the war directly.
If they don't want to work with me because I have voiced concerns about all of those things, then honestly, fuck them.
In December 2023, Lattouf, whom the ABC says had been identified as part of their bid to increase the diversity of on-air talent, began her 5-day fill-in stint on ABC Radio Sydney. Lattouf says she understood the brief of the show to be bright and breezy, cats and Christmas puddings. 3 days into her shift, Lattouf posted this on Instagram. We've used a voice actor.
Human Rights Watch reporting starvation as a tool of war.
After that post, Lattouf was told she wouldn't need to show up for the final 2 days of the stint, although she was paid. She took legal action for unfair dismissal, and although the ABC initially denied she'd been sacked, the Fair Work Commission found she had, in fact, been dismissed. Attempts at mediation failed and the matters wound up in the federal court, where Lattouf is seeking redress for unfair dismissal. In the federal court, ABC executives have spent a lot of time trying to explain why that post in December 2023 was a problem. They've said they told Lattouf not to post anything controversial or anything relating to the Israel-Gaza conflict. Lattouf has said her understanding was different. She thought the ABC didn't want her to be partisan or to take a side, but that posting factual information would be fine. She said the Human Rights Watch story had been reported by the ABC and BBC, and therefore she thought it would be okay.
I have a whole clutch more complaints. Can't she come down with flu or COVID or a stomach upset? We owe her nothing.
That's an email sent by Ita Buttrose to Managing Director David Anderson in December 2023, when they were debating what should be done with Lattouf. Boncardo wanted to know if Buttrose was wishing for Lattouf to become unwell.
That was just a face-saving idea. I thought it might have been an idea for Antoinette to save face. It's an easy way to save face.
Can I just say to you, you've given that evidence today because you know the content of that email is appalling.
You can suggest whatever you like, but it's not true.
Coming up, the ABC has backflipped on a controversial element of its defence. Antoinette Lattouf's complaint says she was unfairly sacked because of either her political views, her race as a Lebanese Arab person of Middle Eastern descent, or a combination of both. Discrimination, in other words. One of the ABC's defences was that this was untrue and that the question of whether a Lebanese Arab or Middle Eastern race even existed was a complex, multifaceted question of fact. The ABC said in documents filed with the court, Ms Lattouf has led no evidence of any relevant fact. That kicked off a fresh stink, especially within the ABC, where about 250 employees who are union members demanded the ABC drop the defence. One prominent ABC presenter, Jan Fran, who's also of Lebanese descent, said this on her own social media.
But these lawyers are not just defending some they're defending the ABC. And the ABC is required to be what's called a model litigant because it's a government body. And that means it's expected to behave in, exemplary fashion. And arguably, is this exemplary?
In court on Tuesday, there was a change of heart. Here's what the ABC's lawyer, Ian Neil, SC, told the federal court, as read by a voice actor.
We are now instructed as follows. The ABC does not put in issue, that is, it does not dispute or contest that the Lebanese, Middle Eastern or Arab races exist, or that Ms Lattouf is one or more of those races.
The ABC put up a statement on its website soon after.
The ABC recognises that, regrettably, this legal argument has caused distress in some sections of the community and our workforce. This was not the ABC's intention. The ABC does, however, deny that any action was taken against Ms Lattouf because of her political opinion, race or national extraction.
At the end of Buttrose's evidence, Boncardo asked if she wanted Lattouf fired.
No.
You sought to do that because of her views on Israel?
No, I didn't.
Because of her views on Israel's war on Gaza?
No.
Because she was a pro-Palestinian activist?
No.
And because she supported the human rights of Palestinians?
No.
The evidence you have given in respect of those denials is untrue?
I have told the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
The case continues on Wednesday. You can follow it live, plus all the best analysis and news from the world of media, anytime at theaustralian.com.au.